back in 1979, I think. He was the first £1 million player in English League. So, and then we've moved on since then. I remember Roy Keane moved from Nottingham Forest to Manchester United. Was it 2.3 million or 3 million or something,
3.4
3.5
million,
million,
something like
whatever
that.
it was.
Yeah, it was a record
And
at
up
the
along
time. Yeah.
now. And the recent one, Noel, is an Irish player just moved. He's a Nathan Collins. Am I correct in that? I think he's Nathan Collins.
I think the bid has been accepted. I think he hasn't officially signed for Brentford yet, but it's coming down the line. Yeah,
something around 20 million for Nathan Collins. Now, I'm sure he's a fine player. He's playing for the Republic of Ireland. We wish him the best of luck. But to me, it just shows, I call it crazy money. It's monopoly money. There's no relevance to the ability of the player. And again, he's Brentford he's going to. And again, in the Premiership, they're doing great stuff. They're obviously financial backing behind him. But again, not a huge club. And that's not a negative of trying to attack him. But it's just talk about the transfer and your opinion on that.
Yeah, transfers has been, I said, I think it's 23 million he's gone for. And it's it says it's crazy money, Paul, but it's been crazy money in the Premier League for a number of years now. If you look at the big transfers at the moment, Declan Rice, who had 3 caps for Ireland before he switched his allegiance to England, he looks like he's going for 100 million sterling, 120 million sterling to Arsenal. He's from West Ham. There's still negotiations going on. The deal could be done by the end of this week. If you look at my own club, Chelsea, they've signed Kai Havertz to Arsenal. Mason Mount is going to Manchester United. Obviously, Jorginho had signed to Arsenal in January already this year. Kante obviously has gone to the Middle East in Abu Dhabi. He's gone to Saudi Arabia. Mendy, the goalkeeper, playing Champions League final. He's gone to Saudi Arabia as well. As I said, competition, if I'm not mistaken, it's gone to Manchester City. There's been a number of transfers, high profile transfers, and it's already at the start, Paul. There's going to be a lot more transfers happening. Liverpool, McAllister there, the midfielder that plays for Argentina, won the World Cup. He's gone from Brighton to Liverpool. They've also signed another player there from RB Leipzig, of a man who I cannot pronounce, and to be honest, I never really heard much about the player, but he's gone for 60 million. So it's amazing. I think it's around 60 million, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So even players, Paul, that you might know much about, clubs obviously are scouting all these players, but I never really heard too much about this new Liverpool player that they've signed. Now, to be honest with you, Chelsea have signed a player called Jackson, something like 15 million. I never heard of him either. So it's even for players, Paul, that you wouldn't really have on your radar at all, are going for big money, and
of course, one of the ways the clubs will make this money back is the merchandising. That will know the numbers or the names of the jerseys. Yeah. They'll be selling jerseys all over the world. They'll be promoting it, and and I presume that's one of the ways to make some of the money back.
It is, Paul, and the one thing that's happening lately is the signing of the contracts. Chelsea last season spent a lot of money. As I know, my own club, we spent a lot of money, and it didn't go anywhere because we finished 12th. But the thing about the contracts is we signed a player called Mikhail Mudryk from Ukraine. He was linked with Arsenal, but he eventually went to Chelsea. They gave him a 7-year contract. Now, they're closing this loophole so enough where the 7 years they're going to pay, I think it was over 100 million. They're going to pay like something like 10 million this year, 10 million the next year, and then phases out over the 7 years. But the UEFA, I think, have clamped down on that, where they're going. I think you can still give the player the contract, but you have to have the payments finished within 5 years. So you can't pay over the 7 years. You can only pay within the 5 years now. I think the way things are going. So clubs don't pay money up front all the time anymore. A lot of clubs, Chelsea particularly have given a contract to players for a long time, like 7 years. The only thing is too is that when a player, like say for example Harry Kane was trying to get out of the Tottenham Hotspur for a long time, but he had 3 years left in his contract. He wanted to go to Manchester City, and he couldn't. And Daniel Levy wouldn't let him go. Chelsea, it might be such a bad idea as well, because if a player wants more money, the club could say, look, you've got 3 or 4 years still left in your contract, and you're getting like 100 grand, 120 grand a year. So
a week,
a week, Jesus, a year, a week. I know it's amazing, Paul. Like
But if you go back to that, couldn't the player just stick his heels in and say, I won't play with you? If I'm a player and I have a 3-year contract, you're the chief executive, I
Yeah,
want to go. You won't let me go. I say you're paying me 100,000 a week. I just won't play for you. What's going to happen?
yeah. We funny enough, we had a player in the early 2000s. I can't his name Bogart, I think his name was. He was bought by I think the late Gianluca Vialli and Ranieri. I think had him in the team, and he didn't play well at all. And he was one of those players that they couldn't understand. They gave him a very good deal. The club did. I think it was 40,000-50,000 a week. Now that was good back 20 years
Yeah,
ago
yeah,
for the player that I think he played 18 times or something or less over the 3 years. But Chelsea wanted to move him on, and they couldn't get rid of him because they were saying, "Look, I have a contract. I'm on good money. I'm not going to leave." And he didn't leave. I think he got paid up for the 3 years. So it can go like that as well, Paul. Where if a player doesn't turn out to be as good as you had hoped, the player can say, "Look, I have a contract there now. I signed it in good faith. We both knew what we were doing when we signed it,
yeah,
club and player." So it can go like that as well. Like with these, particularly that's the worry I have as a Chelsea fan, where we have a lot of players on these long-term contracts, 7 years. There were 3 or 4 players on 7 or 8 year contracts where if the player doesn't turn out to be as good as we had hoped, and other clubs can see that and they mightn't fancy buying him, you could be stuck with the player. So there is that negative toss as well there, that you have to be really good in your business, because Manchester City probably are the one club that can manage that, because they brought a player called Calvin Phillips off Leeds United last season, and he was injured half the time, and I think by the looks of it, he might be out the door, because they brought in a few players since. So unless he gets back to full fitness, because that's 50 million down the drain, really, because they spent 50 million on him, and it looks like now Manchester City might just sell him off, or hopefully for himself he can get back to his full fitness and get playing, because like again I know a Liverpool fan that he said there's no way Liverpool could spend 50 million on a player
yeah,
and have him, like, particularly with their owners that Liverpool have. Every and that's the difference, Paul, between two clubs. The people that are spending and people that aren't spending as much as fans want. There's no way that Liverpool could afford a player 50 or 60 million and turn out to a complete flop. Now, Nunez up front now had a portion of season. They need to. Some Liverpool fans will say he'll come good. Some others say he mightn't. But they couldn't. They can't really do too much flops in the transfer market. That's why many people fear for Liverpool when Jurgen Klopp does go, because he's turned that club around. Like they were, as we said earlier in a few episodes, it was becoming like a running joke for Liverpool trying to win the league after 30 years, and eventually he did it. But if it wasn't for Manchester City, like any Liverpool fan will tell you, Liverpool could have had 2 or 3 more leagues won. So it's all about what you're willing to spend and what you can do
yeah.
with the players you
No,
have.
I can come in there again now, just for the last 10 minutes before we finish up. I suppose again it comes back on the supporters. We know a lot of the clubs now with the Premiership, the season tickets go up. If you're buying an individual ticket, the price of everything goes up. The match programs, they're selling bits of food or whatever else they're selling. The jerseys in the club shop are going up. Then ultimately, the regular supporters who travel there in from different parts, or even they travel every week, that they are going to be paying more and more to try and help to fund these costs. Is that a danger? And you're really hitting your own supporters, or do they not care about it anymore? Is it the supporters on television halfway across the world they're more interested in?
Yeah, I think, well, to be honest with you, the supporters, your local supporters are always taken for granted in football, particularly in England, anyway. I mean, I go over when I can myself, and the prices of even a few drinks in Stamford Bridge and to buy some food is it's crazy money in some parts of it, and we're not in the posh areas either, Paul. To be honest with you, either.
Yes, no, I talk to
But
people in the red seats in the
uh, uh,
executive boxes.
oh, geez, you'd be paying for them seats, Paul. Uh, no, it's just no. I think it's everything is so driven towards merchandise now. Foreign lands, getting as many fans in as you want. I suppose that's the criticism that Manchester City have for a long time, is that they can't fill their stadium because they probably don't have enough tourist fans coming into it. That's what that's what a lot of United fans be saying. But no, I think a lot of the time, fans are always taken for granted. But I think, to be honest with you, I think it's a shame that it does come like that. But I do think that between every prices of like I think Tottenham and Arsenal are the highest season ticket holders, the prices in Europe, if I'm not mistaken. Certainly Arsenal. I think Arsenal
Yeah,
are
Arsenal are
definitely
well
up
known
there.
for years to be one of the most expensive.
Yeah, very very expensive, and a couple of three. I don't know. I wouldn't even try to estimate the cost of a season ticket at Tottenham or Arsenal, because I think it's very very expensive. Now I'm not sure about Chelsea because I haven't really looked into it, because I've already just got the basic membership package, to be honest with you. But yeah, I've seen numerous times when Bayern Munich have played a game against Arsenal, and they've always got the banners about the prices of the tickets to get into the Emirates when they were playing in the Champions League a few seasons ago against Arsenal. Because I think in Germany a lot of the clubs are fan owned, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they have a huge majority share, and I believe a lot of the fans would have.
That's right, yeah, and I think that model is much more preferred in Europe than it is in England. But I can't see it happening in England anytime soon, Paul, to be quite honest, because I think the billionaires are in, the big
Billionaires,
boys.
yeah.
The billionaires are in, the states are in, as you said, with City and Newcastle, and potentially Manchester United if the Qatari company gets hold of the club. So there's not that model is going to happen. Maybe lower down the Premier League, maybe the Champions League one, possibly. I wouldn't really want to comment too much on it because I don't know too much about it. But
yeah, so just to finish up, Noel, looking forward, is there a danger? Will this just keep this momentum and will keep growing, and the transfers 100 million will become a normal fee, or is there a danger that the whole team will go bust? That where's it going to end, or is it? Was this always a discussion, or what thoughts on that before we finish up?
I really hope it doesn't go too mad, Paul. I think Neymar went to PSG for 200 million, and I really hope to God it doesn't ever happen again, because I think there's not a hope in hell that I think a player's worth 200 million. I think someone from Bayern Munich said I'd rather build a stadium for 200 million than on one player. So that's how crazy he did get, and you had, as you said yourself, maybe Nathan Collins would want to be picking him out, but for 23 million for a defender, yes, he's a good player, but he got relegated with Burnley 2 seasons ago. He went to Wolves, and now he's gone on to Brentford. So I hopefully for his own career that it settles down. But yeah, like there's some very ordinary players are going for a lot of money, Paul, in the transfers, and their weekly wages too. So no, we must remember back in the day during John Giles, Billy Rimmer's time, Brian Clough's time, Ellie Nottingham Forest and stuff. There was a lot of players that were released and said thanks, but your services are no longer required.
Yeah.
So when clubs had the chance to be decent to players, they were very very cruel. And now a lot of older players. I remember Jeff Hurst saying in an interview, he was asked the question, do you get jealous of the wages that these players are on? He said no. I said best of luck to him, he says. So I think if the clubs had been more, maybe that kind is the right word, we certainly helped out the players a little bit more after they left football. I think the people would have more sympathy for them. But I think the way the money thing is now, players will take the money and players will go where the money is. So I think it's here to stay, Paul. I think the money is only going to get worse, but hopefully it won't get as bad as it did with the 200 million for Neymar. I just think that was obscene, to be quite honest with you.
And of course, across the water here, we'll say in Ireland, you're looking across the matches are on Sky Sports. Is it BT Sport? Is that the other one that on both of them are subscription channels, isn't that?
There are. There's no free to air Premiership football you can get. Now, obviously, during COVID, the BBC were allowed to show a few games, but there was